In the video I am responding to, Mr. Fleetwood, who I kind of like, in a strange sort of way, claims that there's no left-wing media bias, to which my official response to his assertion that left-wing media bias is some sort of intellectual trick by Karl Rove, well, my response would be, no left-wing media bias. Oh, God, you cracked me up there, Mr. Fleetwood, but I can see how you'd make that mistake. You're a left-winger yourself, and, well, oh, gee. Well, where to begin? Yeah, yes, the major television and print media is left-wing. You could read great books like That's the Way It Isn't. I can't remember the author offhandedly, but you should be able to look it up on Amazon or something like that. I think Dinesh D'Souza and Thomas Sowell have some good books about left-wing media bias. Was it Thomas Sowell? Maybe it was Walter Williams. Media Research Council, I think it is. There are a lot of things you can just type in left-wing media bias. You will get plenty of things on the internet because, for the longest time in this country's history, the New York Times, the three major networks, the New York Post, they were the papers of record, and if you didn't have access to those outlets, or the reporters in those outlets weren't sympathetic to your message, you would be either slandered, or it wouldn't even get to the public or become an issue that the nation would talk about. So, I mean, time after time they interview reporters and they do studies of them and their political views, and they're all Democrats, pretty much. I mean, a few Green Party affiliate people in the journalistic profession, but very much all Democrats, and they're usually in the studies that are very thorough, they're the more liberal Democrats among the Democrats. You have the more conservative blue-collar Democrats, but usually reporters are not part of that cohort. They tend to be the more hard lefties, these people think Karl Marx is a moderate. They won't admit to it because the failure of Marxism everywhere it's been tried would make them a little embarrassed to come out and say it, but there they are. Well, then how did Mr. Fleetwood make this mistake? He tends to be honest to the extent that his mental faculties go, and it's kind of, I like you, Mr. Fleetwood, but sometimes watching you talk about the greater issues of politics is like watching the slower kids in school try to fit the geometric shapes together. They have trouble with it, and I understand you would too, so it's not a problem. So let me go about correcting some of the mistakes that you made and cleaning up after your mess, because it's a fun mess, don't get me wrong, but it's a mess. Your thinking on this issue is a mess. You ignore the fact that there are multiple wings of the Democrat Party. Hillary Clinton is from the Machiavellian wing of the Democrat Party. Don't worry, there's a Republican Machiavellian wing in the Republican Party. They're basically made up of politicians that are willing to say anything to get elected, and the voters gullible enough to believe it, and the voters gullible enough to take pork barrel spending and so forth. That's the politicians and the power base that make up the Machiavellian wing of both parties. But lately the Democratic portion has been pretty pronounced in the campaign. I mean, George Bush Jr., that is, was from, and probably senior, but to a much lesser extent, was from the Machiavellian wing. We've had a string of Machiavellian leaders in the United States that pretty much say what they need to say, to get elected. And it's only gotten worse over time. The pandering has only gotten more blatant. Hillary's not that much different from her husband, and Bill Clinton was, well, great for pandering, except that he was actually skilled at it, and Hillary is not, which is funny because then you start seeing Democrats in this new media that say, well, Hillary's pandering. Well, no fucking shit. If only you'd seen that with Hillary's dear hubby. But but we do have multiple wings of the Democrat Party. I mean, Obama is perhaps part of the clerical wing of the Democrat Party. He's talking about hope and change and being very light on the details, But at least he's not trying to misrepresent himself. He does vote against the public feeling sometimes and shows a certain amount of independence, and people like that. Even though Obama has the presidential experience and gravitas of a sixth grader, it doesn't matter. He's a very good talker, and he does stick by, he stakes out a position and he stays there. He doesn't figure out he doesn't take a poll and then decide to do exactly what the public says to the extent needed to get elected. You can find out what Hillary's true views on things are during times in political discourse when, one, the voters aren't watching, and two, times where the election is far away. Then you see Hillary's true colors. But if the election is close at hand, or or it's a vote that people are going to remember, yes, Hillary can be persuaded to vote any way that will increase her prospects. So multiple wings of the Democrat Party, and yes, liberals do control the quote-unquote old media. Why do you think talk radio, conservatives were so quick to stake out talk radio and the internet in the early days? We had nowhere else to go. And of course, I don't consider myself a conservative. I'm more of a Ron Paul, libertarian sort of fellow. No particular religious leanings. But, of course, I put up with the religious folks because to get any kind of tax reform passed, you need majorities. And there's just too darn few of us atheistic libertarians around, so what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, man? So, well, but I do like it. But I do want to end on this note. I do like you, Fleetwood, because like Obama, you do have some actual positions. You're not a pander bear like many in the Democrat Party are, and I hope to see more of your videos. You had something about superdelegates, and that'll be the next thing I probably decide to respond to. Although, who knows, I might agree with you totally, and that'll be, in which case I'll just type something out for you. So, you have a good day, and try to fit those blocks together more efficiently. I know you have the brain cells, you just have to get rid of some of these left-wing biases that will rot your brain out. Oh well. Take care, and until next time, happy debating.